Awesome. So we're going to go straight into the next question. And do forgive me because it is about exchanges. I know it's
When
one
it
of
hit
those
BTC.
one of those touchy subjects. But the community are just wondering. Obviously, we've had this huge rise in volume, and where we saw ETN on the release of instant payment really go through the roof in terms of its rankings on CoinMarketCap, up to around 47th at the moment. So it's maintained that stability as well with its growth. So they just want to know what the strategy is for exchanges going forward at the moment, what's in the pipeline, etc.
Okay. Hit BTC. Where was it? Back at the beginning of the year, we said Hit BTC have just agreed to list us. I mean, that's probably the bane of my life with people. When Hit BTC, you know, people think that we're maybe making it up, or I don't know what people think, but Hit BTC was all agreed in January of this year. We're still not live with them. I spoke to them twice yesterday. The tech team are working with them. They've got a great tech team. Their tech team are really, really technical people. They're doing stuff with cold storage, and they're doing stuff that they keep asking us questions. It's not the fastest process in the world, so they'll ask us and say, "Oh, could you please integrate this into?" So we've got a whole separate wallet system that we're doing with them. So we do things as they ask us, and then it goes quiet for a little while, and then we bounce back, and then they come back, and you know, so it's taking a long time, but we wish we'd never said it, because had we not said it, when it goes live, people would be like, "Oh my goodness, top 10 exchange, how good." So we have a few things like that pending that we are not going to mention. Like I say, I'll say something off camera to you, and then we'll record something so that you can release it when it comes out. Yeah. But we've got a couple of exchanges that we are very imminent. He says with a hopeful grimace. The idea is that they should be live in the next couple of weeks, that are doing fiat. So one of those is a fiat exchange that does euros and US dollars. And they also do another currency that, if I say it, gives away who they are really. So they do another currency that's going to be really, really good for a local ecosystem. So we've been looking at different ecosystems around the world. There are obvious places that cryptocurrency are going to work really well. Venezuela's one, because they've got problems in their economy. So Dash have jumped over there in a big way. They've got people on the ground and they're doing stuff. So there was no point us saying, "Oh, let's go over there and try and do Venezuela," because actually those guys are doing a great job over there, and I don't really want to go toe to toe with somebody when the world is a big place. Yeah. So we've identified some other regions that we are dealing with mobile operators. We're dealing with various companies in some places, or two places. We're actually dealing at a governmental level that we hope to get over the line. So we're dealing with some regions that we then need a fiat exchange in, and one of those is really close to dropping. So that one should go live in the next couple of weeks. And then we have, again, I won't say who it is, but it's one of our exchanges that we've already got, so it won't be too hard to figure it out. We've got a fiat pairing coming on that exchange as well, which again was all part of our concept of the vendor system. So they've got an API that enables you to make a transaction using API calls. And some of our vendors have got issues with how much margin they make. So if you're a digital salesperson, and that's where our advertising is first going out towards, looking for digital vendors. Let's say you sell wallpapers, you know, for desktops, or you sell hypnotherapy sessions that you own the rights to. Something that can be downloaded. Maybe you have a business training course system, or whatever it is. So if you sell that in ETN, you've really got nothing to worry about, because if you sell your business training course for £99, and in this instance the ETN goes down by 10% and you only get £90 for it, it doesn't bother you in any way, because it's still an extra sale. If it goes up by 10%, then you're happy. So digital sales are the perfect vehicle for us to start with, until we've got fiat exchanges, because then what can happen is you can make the sale at the spot price and very quickly have your system automatically convert into fiat if you choose to do so. But just at the same time, while we talk about that, that's one of the reasons we talk about this ecosystem. So the mobile network operators are not taking, largely anyway, they're not taking the ETN that's coming from their users and immediately converting it to fiat. The mobile operators see ETN as a way to get more users. all mobile operators care about, it's probably not strictly true, but a lot of what mobile operators care about is growth and user numbers. User numbers, user numbers. That's their mantra. They just want huge volumes of user numbers. Sounds like us, right? So what they are interested in doing is using ETN, selling in ETN, but instead of then taking that ETN, because it's not going to be a massive percentage of their business to start with. So, but what we've gone in and convinced them to do, and largely they're very happy to do, is take that ETN and then instead of just converting it to fiat, they actually use that ETN to incentivize more users to come on board.
Yeah.
And that's where we get our first stage of this ecosystem. Because if they go and reward people in ETN, who then spend, where do they spend? They spend back with the operator, who then uses the ETN to reward more users. So you don't get this requirement for fiat all the time. You get this ability to keep the money in a system. And so that's going to be a big part of it. But yeah, so we've got some fiat exchanges coming. But so any of the deals that we've got where people are really worried about margin, and we have one I can think of. Chris will freak out, but don't worry, I'm not going to give the name away. He's progressing this deal. There's a company, they've got 3,000 outlets with point of sale, but their margin is relatively small. So if you think about a relatively small margin, and then you think about 10% fluctuations in a day, actually you start getting into the realms of one of the hurdles you've got to overcome when you're talking to those corporates is they're thinking, okay, well, we know our business and we know it to within an inch. You know, they really know this thing. So you introduce a new payment method that has huge currency fluctuations because it's a volatile market. They have the possibility that on Tuesday, all of the virtual currency, all of the ETN that they took that day is now underwater. So they lost money on that day. And that is a hurdle that we've got to overcome. So there's two ways to overcome that. One is something that we're already doing, is we're trying to implement some sort of process for de-risking them. So for instance, because they are going to be encouraging people within their environment to mine, and therefore the ETN that they've got is costless to them, hasn't cost them any money, we have said to them, as long as they make it very clear that they will be paying a slight premium if they pay an ETN, they would be allowed to sell a product at slightly more money, therefore increasing their margin and de-risking the transaction, as long as they make the user very aware that they're doing that. So we're doing some de-risking, and at the same time, if they also wanted to take a percentage of that and immediately convert it to fiat, they would have the facility to do so. So there's going to be some businesses that just want to sit on the ETN that they make because they're speculating. And there's going to be some businesses that want to take a percentage and convert it to fiat. There's going to be other businesses that, through the nature of their small margins, have to convert to fiat. And so putting these things in place just means that for everybody that we're dealing with, there is a solution.
Okay, cool. And I think when you say managing the risk and the margins and stuff, and where you say digital services, that's where you really want to go first. And it's because they've created that content, and then because they can technically sell that unlimited amount of times, that really does reduce the risk to next to none.
That's exactly
as long
right.
as the time.
As long as they have the intellectual property. I mean, obviously, if you're selling music downloads, you're having to pay out the royalty fee anyway. So there are some things where you don't own the intellectual property, but there is a huge number of businesses where the intellectual property is owned in-house. Training courses with a classic and ebooks. You know, the things that you're selling something that you can sell one copy of or 1,000 copies of, and your costs don't change. And they're the absolute perfect thing because we've got a massive audience. So those people really should be doing it, because at the moment we've got a captive audience, got literally millions, certainly over 1 million of active users, and those active users are sitting there on $150 million worth of ETN with, at the moment, very few avenues to use it. So, vendors would be crazy not to jump into that market. One, because we'll be promoting them to our 300,000 plus social media audience. So that would be of an interest to most businesses. And secondly, they've then got a captive audience of people that have got ETN. I mean, if I had digital businesses, I would most certainly be putting them in to accept ETN.
Cool. And then just to recap on the exchanges side of things. So obviously your strategy for getting on exchanges is going to be completely different to many cryptocurrencies because you have that necessity to deal with fiat. and then because you're going to certain areas of the world, that doesn't necessarily mean that you want Binance, because just purely because they're the biggest in the world. Geographically, where you're going, you want to seek out a service that those local people can really benefit from.
Yep, that's true. Although we would not say no to Binance. We've always tried to get on the community vote at Binance. Every single time there's a community vote, we've always applied, and they've never listed us on the community vote. We're very sad. That's our sad face, Binance. Please put us on a community vote. Our community's got to be one of the strongest, if not the strongest, in the entire crypto sphere. And it's such a tragedy that we can't get onto the community vote. We've been on a few community votes. We won a community vote. Actually, we just went. What was the exchange we just gone live on? Went live yesterday.
Was it CoinDeal?
CoinDeal, well done. You know more about it than I do. CoinDeal went live yesterday. We won their community vote. And what's really interesting is a lot of these community votes, you see fakes. I don't know if you've seen them, but you see the botters at the top. And we'll look at them and we'll say, oh, I've never heard of this project. Let's have a look. Oh, they've got 120 people following them on Twitter. So, okay, they've got 120 followers and they've had 9,000 votes on the community vote. How many votes have we had? 4,500, but our 4,500 are real. So sometimes we actually lose to people like that. And I see them get listed and I'm a bit frustrated by that. So if we sat there and wrote a bot, we'd win. But, you know, we don't want to win by cheating. We want to win by having the biggest community. So we've got the biggest community out there. Please, Binance, please put us on the community vote list. I mean, Binance would list us if we just paid them some money, I suspect. But do we think $2 million or whatever their latest outrageous, is it well spent? I don't know. If it comes to it and, you know, and we genuinely think it will make all the difference to the project, then we'll obviously spend the money. But I don't know. We'd have to seriously think about whether or not that's good use of the funds. You know, we've got to make sure the project is what it is, and 2 million is a lot of advertising. It's a lot of other things. So to start with, I think when we get huge real users really using it. I mean, don't get me wrong, we've got real users sort of really using it, but the ecosystems aren't in place. We will get tens of millions of users. I absolutely know, and they will be doing this. I'm just so confident of that. It's ridiculous. So when we get that. And people from around the world are transacting and it's happening and we've got more user numbers than any other cryptocurrency on the planet. Do I believe that we'll still be blanked by these people? No, I don't think we will. I think that they'll be coming to us saying that we want to earn money from the trade. That's how they earn their living. So I think that they'll be coming back to us, and I think that there'll be a deal to be done on the listing fees. I don't think that in that ICO mania that took place, that's why people's listing fees went to the moon, because they could do it, and an ERC20 token that's got no chance of actually delivering anything ever paid the $2 million and got listed on Binance. And you see some of the projects that are on there, you just think, oh,
yeah, purely because it's a smart contract and they just put in the key and then they're on.
ERC20 tokens are the easiest things in the world to list. If you and I said, right, let's set up easy to list coin. We could set up an ERC20 token in the next 45 minutes, I'd say. We could get that ready out there. You know, they are so easy to make, so easy to launch, and that's why the ICO boom took place. Loads of people just went, how easy is this? It's ridiculous. And unfortunately, that's been a bad thing for the crypto market, in my opinion. There's some nice projects out there, but there's also 2,000 hideous projects.
Yeah, without a doubt.